Cool. 110% all day, everything. Let's go. Welcome to the show. Today, my guest is my brother again, Zachary Bird. Give me that little coffee chink. Gaga, good morning, sir. How was your run today?
Good morning.
How far
Man,
did you go?
I learned so many things.
Yeah, in your
I
run?
I learned so many things about life, the universe, and everything. Like I basically arrived at 42.
Okay.
Oof.
Ooh, what does 42 mean for those people who don't know?
It's the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
And where did it come from?
Space. It came from a giant project instigated by an alien civilization to find the answer to life, the universe, and everything. The procedure for which involved the creation of the Earth and starting it. The Earth itself is the question. It is the machine they built to answer the question. This is from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a book, BBC series, modern movie. Um, yeah, very good stuff.
Excellent. Okay, so how did you arrive at 42?
Almost. We almost got the answer to life, the universe, and everything. It was incredible for sure. I mean, the coolest thing is that as opposed to blunt forcing my face into speed and distance until I died, I listened to someone else who told me how to train, and they were right, and it was incredible, and it makes sense that they were right. So, but
What
the
what was it
yeah,
specifically that you learned about training that helped you do that?
so I've known what zone training is for a while. I've never made a concerted effort to engage in zone training, meaning tracking heart rates. There's generally speaking five heart rate zones, which go from like sitting here, normal heart rate, to which is one, all the way to five, which is like you might have cardiac arrest and die
Yes.
because your heart's beating so fast. So or AFib. And so yeah, so that's the zones, and they all correspond to different energy systems and fueling systems and stuff in your body in order for your body to accomplish them. I'm actually I've got red light on my feet right now, trying to give them a little healing. But and if I'm moving around too much, it's because I've got this huge spiky ball. Um, it's really
Yo, I actually literally
spiky.
about 3 seconds before you pulled that up, I really thought about turning around and picking mine up so that we have the same kit.
And a lacrosse ball. Yeah, I'm sure we do. Um, yeah, so I'm over here rehabbing my feet. If you're wondering why I'm dancing, I guess I could actually dance. But yeah, so zone training. Yeah, so I did a instead of doing a distance goal, I did a time goal. So my goal was an hour at least, and no more than 90 minutes. And the zone was zone two to three. So start out in primarily zone two, shoot four, and into zone three. And I found out that that's really slow for me. It's really slow. I ran the first mile in like 8 minutes, and I was in like, I ran a normal, pretty chill mile, 8 minutes something, eight
Yeah, that's
fifty, 8:30
yeah.
or something. It was pretty chill. It didn't kill me or anything, but it gave me my heart rate readout. And I was like, okay, I'm almost in zone five here. Like I'm pushing myself. This is towards what would be called like race pace. That's what you do if that's what the goal is to win, right? You push yourself as hard as you possibly can go. Um, yeah, so I slowed it way down. I went from an 8 minute mile to like anywhere from 11 to 13 minute miles for the rest of the time. And it was
Hmm.
earth shattering because for so many reasons. Like the coolest thing is it's the thing I kept like thinking every time I figured something out. I was like, wow, this is why you practice things slowly. It's easy to do things wrong quickly, and it's much harder and takes much more mental like grit and determination to do things good slowly, repeatedly. Like once you're like, all right, perfect, practice my golf swing. All right, cool, that's good. But to do that for hours,
Yeah.
not easy, hard.
No.
But then
Yes.
but then you turn it up and you go race pace, and you don't have to. There's no practice. There's no learning. It's just doing.
It's
It's
the same.
exceeding.
Do you think it's the same concept as when I was in football and we had to run the same exact play over and 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 over again so that when we got to the game we ran it at full speed perfectly?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's the same thing. I can't speak too much to that, but I mean, it's this you're training the same muscle, which is your brain.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It's
So
just
so
creating that muscle memory. Or like for instance, if we wanted to like as a running back, we would be behind the football coach and you're squared up shoulders in line with the quarterback and we would literally stand there and for a couple hours just take one step, one step, one step, 45-degree angle, 45-degree angle, 45-degree angle, over and over and over again, so that when that ball snaps in the game, your foot goes exactly where it's supposed to do, how fast it's supposed to do it, and with the exact power that it's supposed to.
yeah, one thing with running, like though, also that was cool, and like this is something that I came that these are things that, like everything, right? It's a grand journey to remembering, but the key to remembering is experience, right? And you can read as many things as you want, you can read it as many times as you want, but really until you go do it and experience the results or the effects, it doesn't lock in that knowledge. I don't think, or then it becomes knowledge, or it
Yes.
becomes like a remember it. It goes from knowledge with a lowercase k to an uppercase k, right? Because knowing
The
is
royal
different than
knowledge.
knowledge. Yeah, yeah. But that one of the interesting things was that that it because it's moving, because it's not like one step, one step, one step. Like it's a little bit faster. It was today, like 13 miles an hour or 13-minute miles is not it's a snail's pace for running, but it's not slow for moving. Um, it was cool because also a cool thing that kind of sparked me to this point is that I saw another like what she must have been a professional runner, like or at least she was a hobbyist runner that did this frequently and probably competes in marathons or something, or she just really loves to run. But you could tell by her body that she was just her form was perfect, like it was perfect. Her shoulders were completely locked in, like loosely locked in perfectly, just perfect sway, no like hip swinging, perfect little no impact steps. Like, oh my God, she ran past me and I was just like, wow, like, all right, cool. But yeah, so I got to emulate her a little bit and I was going so slow that the coolest thing I saw was like her shoulders and how her shoulders were, she wasn't like flexed locked in, but she was loosely locked in and there was no like this at all. It was just like a light side to side. And I was like, huh, okay. Like I've read
Yeah.
that, in World's
Do
Fittest
you
book,
not
he
do
talks
that?
about, well, I mean, in World's Fittest book, he talks about it, and he talks about how, he went out to
You
the,
move your shoulders a
uh,
lot?
yeah, I mean, he talks about perfect running form in there and what the ideal is and that no one has perfect running form and it's all about crafting your own, really based off of what the ideal is. But yeah,
Huh.
yeah, he talks about that, about, the shoulder swing and that kind of thing. And like I said, I've read it and I've seen it, but I've never run slow enough to practice it.
That's
I'm
cool. That's
always
really cool. So like was that the first time that you ever trained at a slow pace? Like in running?
not at all, but it's the first time I've consciously done it as part of a training regimen. So this was the first long run in my new training program that's 3 sprints a day, one long run, a mobility day, and
You mean 3 days of sprints?
yeah, 3 days of sprints. Um, and yeah, so it just it's incredible. Like it's after a week of that, normally like last month, doing a week of training would have me beat. And like another insight I had today is that like sprinting is valuable, right? And it's becoming clearer to me. I can feel why it's good,
Yes. It's
because
crazy.
like if I go do a run like I had been doing, like running, 10 miles and pushing for 7-minute miles, like um, I could probably do it, but my body doesn't understand that I'm not giving my body the correct messages to let it know that I want to be able to keep doing that. I'm saying we're not stopping, and it's like okay, and my body's stepping up to the plate, and it's bringing everything to bear, right? So I'm probably eating into my like phosphate stores and my calcium stores. My bones are probably getting metabolized,
Yeah.
like doing that. And so through you can sustain a month of that, but after a month, your body's like, all right, bro, we're done. You're gonna get sick. You're gonna have to take a break. Your feet are gonna fall apart. You're gonna need to do some rehab yoga, like, and that's been
That's
my
why
experience.
ultra like I saw a super duper duper like ultra marathon runner who's been doing it for years the other day get like cancer all over his body. It's like, well,
I
dude.
don't
What
know.
like if it felt like if
Hey,
your
your cup's
health
cool, but what about my cup?
nice. If but I mean like if you're training to that degree, like you just said, and you're diving into your glycogen scores, the calcium stores, and the phosphate stores, whatever, and eating your fucking bone away, then it just kind of made sense to me to see somebody who's been doing that to their body every single day for years and years and years and years and years. Their body was like, "Fuck you, I'm getting cancer."
I mean, I don't I would probably interpret that differently. To me, I'm probably curious what they eat and how they recover. Because like, I mean, I think humans are definitely capable. It's all metabolism, right? Like whether it's cancer, whether it's whatever it is, it's all like metabolism is the engine that drives things or regresses things. And so like I think that I would be very curious to see what their regime was like. I wouldn't, and I definitely would be really hesitant to point at their training as the cause of anything. I think that it's very hard to go wrong with training, especially if it's something that's a practice like that. You know, like that what I would look at is like supporting factors, right? Because like there are crucial things that you have to give your body, and like the training, all it's going to do is move when, how, and how much you're doing those things. And so if you're not keeping up with the demands that the training's putting, then that's going to cause the imbalance, then that's going to cause the issue. But the training itself, yes, if I go run for a week straight pushing for 7 minute miles, I will develop a deficiency, right? But if someone who has done the hard work to train slowly up to being able to run, 300 miles a week, I don't think that poses the same issue
That's
to
a
them.
thing.
I don't know. I'm just making numbers up, but like, um, but I imagine it is. I mean,
Yeah.
humans are pretty impressive. So, but I mean, it's to me, it's more like, and we're saying basically the same thing, but I think to me, it's very easy to say, oh, they train too hard or too much, and it's like, they probably just trained normally. That's probably normal for them. And then they, didn't keep up with something else, or that there was some other environmental factor. Cancer is in all of us, right? And it's all about all the time, and it pops up and goes away, and we don't ever know about it. And that's natural. That's how cells work, right? They live, die, grow too big, get killed, get eaten. The body reacts. The things happen, and that's a cycle, right? That's cancer is part of the body. That's part of the body. It's how things work. And so when things happen like that, it's usually more of an environmental thing, and our bodies are in an environment, right? And
Yeah.
the
It's just an
external environment's an
ecosystem.
extension of that. So
Interesting. That's really interesting thought. So, I guess I guess that's probably why, like, I kept my training pretty much exactly the same, but had to change everything else so that my body could keep up with the training that I wanted to do. Right? Because,
yeah,
because the only way that I'm able to keep up with my training is by doing lots and lots and lots of hot and cold water therapy, fucking 15 to 20 minutes of foam rolling every single day, lots of stretching, 3 days of yoga a week, like fucking massive quantities of turmeric every day, fucking everything, man. But with one of those things not there, my knee starts hurting.
right.
It's interesting.
Yeah, well, what you should do is just drink this and you'll be fine. You wouldn't need to do any of that.
Ah, whatever, dude. I drink most of it that's in that thing all the time. I was doing raw eggs in my shake, but then I was just like depleting my egg stores way too fast. It's like I need this to last 2 weeks, bro.
Dude, it's people scramble for nootropics and for brain boosting chemicals, and they ask if they can have it in a pill form, and they don't know that they just have to eat an egg.
An
Um,
egg and liver.
I mean, B vitamins and choline and omega acids, like it's what your brain's made of. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I guess
what
if
your
the yolk is the thing that makes life, anyways, or feeds the life, or turns into life, whatever you want to call it. That shit's fucking crazy, bro.
what eggs?
Eggs trip me the fuck out, like of all kinds, from all animals.
Yeah,
Dude, especially fish eggs, like they poop them out, and then well, I guess they all get seminated afterwards. Wait, no, don't some fishes get seminated inside of the fishes, like salmon? Like, don't the daddies come over there and go boop, 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 and then they spit the eggs out?
I can't say that I'm well versed enough in fish reproduction to be able to tell you an answer to that,
Dude, I think I learned that from Les
unfortunately.
Stroud, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I know dolphins and some like sharks have really cool like spiral egg sac things. That's cool. Maybe not dolphins. Maybe some shark, maybe like nurse sharks or something. Maybe nurse sharks are born alive. I don't know. There's some kind of shark that has some spiral egg thing. Like I said, I don't know enough about fish reproduction.
Yeah, fuck that. So have you decided that you're gonna run the race with me when I run the race?
Oh yeah, bro, I got you. Whatever.
Cool, cool. And your days off for Sunday, Monday now?
Hmm.
Perfect, because I moved the race to Sunday.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. I feel good. I mean, the only reason I was questioning it like 2 weeks ago is because like my training was killing me. I didn't know. There was no way I could have sustained that.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel
Thank
you.
God I read a 500-page book and figured out, where I was going wrong.
That's fucking beautiful. What book did you read?
Beyond Training. I don't have it next to me, but
Who'd you buy?
Ben Greenfield. It is cool. It's basically his years of experience running triathlons and stuff, and transitioning from the world of carb doping to and glycemic roller coastering to the kind of lower carb, ancestral, ketogenic, paleo sort of primal training methodology, and figuring out. And he kind of codifies like, or goes through his journey through that, and then kind of codifies how one can do that on their own if they, if it's for kind of like a layperson. He kind of lays out how to, if you don't have 8 hours a day to train, how you would go about crafting a program to achieve, peak results in competitive, sports like that, like triathlon or marathon or biking or swimming. So it's cool. Yeah, he goes through a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I think the most valuable, I was able to, I followed him for so long that it was mostly connecting a lot of dots for me as far as specifics for training programming. And a lot of the other stuff is stuff that he talks about regularly. So it's not, I was able to skip a lot of the book because I could repeat it already. So like, that was cool. I
Oh,
mean,
a lot of reading the book was connecting dots for you?
almost all of it. Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were saying like most of the time when you're listening to Ben Greenfield, it's connecting the dots. Got you. Okay. Yeah, that's how I felt with Boundless. Because like I'm reading it, and unless there's something very specific that I don't know that I want to know that I found in there, it kind of feels like I'm reading what I've just heard him say every single day.
Right, which is cool, and it's forced repetition of the mind, right? Of concepts, it's it's like I was doing that today too when I was running. I had to really, there's a really steep hill that goes up to my house, and I normally maintain my same fast pace and run up the hill, and I get to engage my glutes real hard and my quads, and it's great. It feels great, and I feel super powerful. And like if I can keep my mouth closed the whole time and breathe through my nose, I'm like, ugh, and get to the top. But today I had to slow down because I was trying to stay in my low heart rate, and I had to slow way down. I was running slower than I walk,
That's
and it
really
was
interesting.
it was really hard to maintain my form. Um, but it was cool because I was like thinking about it, and I discovered like a little muscle in my back I didn't know I needed for my posture. I didn't know it was there until today. But I clicked it into place, and I was like, all right, cool. And it was much easier to maintain my posture and run in that speed. But I was thinking about the how much I slowed down and how hard I was thinking the whole time. I was thinking
It
about it
takes
like
so much thought.
I was like
It's
I
so
was like,
fucking
dude,
hard.
yeah, I was running, and I was like, dude, I do this a lot. I run a lot. Like for myself, like maybe not
Yeah.
compared to like a professional, but like I run a lot. And and every time I run, like I don't wear headphones, I don't listen to music, I don't think about almost anything other than running. I'm almost 100% focused on form the entire time, even for today, like an hour long, hour and a half run.
Yeah.
um, I literally think about nothing else.
That's so
um,
crazy. I turn on music and check out.
oh man, I just like, because of my experiences in the past getting really hurt, like when I had runner's knee, and when I've had other little injuries, like it's so dangerous to me. And I'm like, I'm like, okay, like I'm here to do one thing, and that's not get hurt. And
I
so
guess that's
like,
true. Yeah, I have been noticing. Like, I guess I don't. Historically, I have just turned on music, checked out, and gone really hard. But in the past couple weeks, I've had to. I still like to turn on the music and kind of check out, so I can get into that like running flow state. But I have been spending drastic amounts of effort on making sure that I learned something from Paul Check the other day. He was talking about how running one race with an injury can fuck up your form for years to come.
yeah, because
So,
you're in like theta brain state, and you're like completely in the zone. If you're completely in flow, and you're directly riding to the hardware when you're in at a race, you know. Yeah,
well, he was saying that in 1 mile of a typical race person, you're going to take about 7,000 steps. So, if
yeah,
I ran, like for instance, my first half marathon, I ran 13.3 miles with an injured left ball of my foot, which is what you're supposed to fucking hit the ground with. So when he said that, it clicked, and I was like, fuck. I was like, I must be subconsciously not running on the left ball of my foot, and that's why my left runner's knee won't go away. And so as soon as I heard that, I switched it up, and I've been paying really, really close, hardcore attention to my left foot as I hit the ground and strike the floor. And I haven't had any knee problems since I started doing that. So
yeah,
it's fucking
yeah,
magic. But it's so
yeah.
fucking hard because apparently I've been running 2 years incorrectly, completely. And like I can even look down at my thighs and the where my muscles have formed, like different muscles have formed bigger on different on the thighs. Like there's like a indention on my left thigh where on my right thigh it's really full. And I think that's because I've been compensating with my right leg.
Yeah. No, that makes sense for sure. Yeah. I it it is insane. Like it's crazy how adaptable the body is and how easy it is to, it's about training, right? And how I think that lesson goes both ways though, right? Because like if we can teach our body something in one race, then we can teach our body something in one race.
Exactly, which I'm about to run 15 miles today, which is farther than when I ran to teach myself the wrong thing. So today I have the opportunity to reprogram my brain to do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it blows my mind when I think about running, like in all respects. Just because, but I think the craziest thing is, and today it was so like I was like I legit have like I very rarely get what people refer to as a runner's high. I know what it is. I've had it. But like running is like it is like the largest math problem to me. It is, and I crunch it until it's done, and like it is unimaginably complex every second that I'm doing it, and any second that I stop thinking about it like that, um, my form goes way out, and stuff starts hurting, or I start breathing wrong, and I'm out of breath, and my heart starts racing, and I'm like, all right, cool, that's what it is. Back to crunching numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to figure out how to breathe properly because you can be like if you start running with improper breathing and you're just breathing through your mouth the whole time and you get to mile like 5, well, you're gonna be fucked up. But like if you notice when you get to that mile 5, the thing that your body naturally does to recover is you start going. So why wouldn't you just do that the whole time? Which
Yeah,
is fucking hard. It's fucking hard, especially with
I
me with my
mean,
broken ass nose.
the biggest thing for me is that like you don't train to breathe while you're running. You train to breathe every other second of your day.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, like it's been taking like I've only known that nose breathing was a thing for like 3 months. Like I
Yeah.
didn't. Nobody ever taught me that. Like I mean,
They
I
make
heard.
mouth tape, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy some. But what what I've actually been doing is on my runs, I'll put like a half a gulp of water in my mouth and keep it there.
Oh,
So
that's good. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I've been
Or like a pebble or something. Yeah.
Well,
Its water will spill out.
for me, the water works because like I'll put enough to where I can move it to just in my front lips, like dip, and then like still have the spit in the back, and then swallow it so I can get rid of the dry throat while keeping the water in my mouth. And so I've been doing two things with this. I've been training myself to breathe properly and to train my body to be more efficient with water. Because I was waterlogging myself as well. I was drinking maybe a liter and a half of water every fucking 6 miles. What? And because I smoke weed before I smoke weed before I run, so I have cotton mouth when I start running, and it's like the Arizona sun. So like you just sip on it, and then the cotton mouth comes back, and you sip on it again, and the cotton mouth comes back, and you sip on it again. But when you have cotton mouth, if you keep water in your mouth, you never get the cotton mouth.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my mouth stays dry and my body doesn't get as thirsty. And every time my throat gets dry, I just move the water to the front of my mouth, swallow the spit, and then I'm good to go. And I can take 1 to 2 gulps of water every 2 to 3 miles rather than every fucking lap around a
Yeah.
track.
Yeah. I found that sprinting without drinking really helps with that. Like just doing a sprint session, like probably not more than 4 sprints, but like doing 4 total sprints with recovery times or whatever
Yeah.
without drinking, your body's like, I need water, I need water. And you're like, no, chill, chill, chill. And it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like and it's so fucking cool because the moment that you said something about being waterlogged, my brain clicked. I was like, "Oh, got it. I understand exactly what needs to be done." And just knowing like what is happening is like a fucking superpower. Because the
hmm,
moment that I understood what was going wrong, I was able to do something about it, change it, and solve the fucking problem. Like I don't know. And I also, when you told me that, I thought back to when I first moved to the desert, and I didn't like. I never drink water when I was running because in Dallas, because I was never really running past 3 to 5 miles, and in Dallas, you can run 3 to 5 miles without water at all, and you'll be fine, and for most of the year. And so I moved here and I wasn't used to bringing water on my runs at all. So I was in this fucking Arizona desert sun going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 miles without fucking water for 6, 7 months before I even started trying to like actually get into running. And then I think it was you. You were like, bro, you need to take water out there. You're gonna die.
it's funny.
So I started running with that little water pack, and I guess the falling off the wagon and not running for a while made me just forget all of the things that I learned.
Yeah, your body like it's easy. It's easy to do it, man. Your body's like it seeks homeostasis at the lowest energy expenditure possible,
Yeah,
and it takes a lot of energy to maintain without water to do things, at a high performing level.
right.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah. I think that, I feel notice like if I will feel the second I've drank too much water. My body's like, "Phew." I'm like, oh, dang it.
yeah, yeah,
Dang
yeah.
it.
Maybe I'm not that in tune, but for instance, on Wednesday, I went on a 6 mile run and I was gonna do 9 miles total, but I found a tire that I wanted in an alleyway like a mile and a half away. So I went back home, grabbed a strap, and then went to the tire and I was gonna pull it back because I saw this video of this guy like running through the forest with the tire behind him, and like it looked really fucking cool. And I was like, wow, that guy looks like a fucking beast, and it looks like a great workout. I did not consider how difficult it is to pull a tire behind you while it's dragging on the ground.
How far did you get?
Quarter mile.
Did you leave it there?
Well, the strap broke, so yeah.
Bro, you should have picked it up.
I'm gonna
Couldn't
go
you,
get. No,
wait, couldn't you roll it? It rolls.
I know. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna get it. I want to actually carry it back to the house. So I'm gonna, like, I probably next paycheck I'm gonna go buy like an actual rope or something that I don't think will break when I drag it on the concrete for a mile. Maybe a cable, like a bike chain cable. I have a bike chain cable.
Ding.
I could just put the bike chain around it and tie the strap around that. That way the strap's not on the ground.
There you go, bro.
Don't even have to go to the store.
Look,
Excellent.
you figure that out all on your own.
See, this is why I don't make impulsive decisions sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yo, thinking about things before they come out of your mouth or you do them is crazy. It's a superpower.
Sure. Yeah.
Dude, oh, the headless way? Very
hmm
interesting.
Tell me about it.
Um it it's very, I don't know how I feel about it, but it makes me feel better when he says this is simply an experiment from looking at it from first person.
Makes you feel better? Does it scare you?
Well, he's yeah, it's like he's teaching you that you're nothing, man, and it's tripped out. You're just
Yeah.
space for the world, bro. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. I think the craziest part is when he talks about the mirror stuff and does the mirror exercises, and you like look at yourself in the mirror and you like get in the headset he's talking about, and it's like
I haven't done that part yet.
that's really tripped out. You're like, oh, what am I looking at? What is that? What is that in the mirror?
Yeah, dude. It's like, yeah, from first person, you're nothing but space. Like, you don't know if your head's there. Dude, fucking A, dude. Like, what is that? And
My
it's,
favorite ones that are the most useful to me are like when he's talking about the fields of experience, like the auditory field and the visual field and the mental field and how they're boundless. So
yeah.
like, I like to combine that with like standard mindfulness and like that's my hack to get it, just drop into mindfulness. When Sam is in his meditations is like, all right, now just arrive, and
Dude,
like
I've fucking
he
gotten into a master at that. It's the most wonderful feeling in the world.
But even in like stressful situations, when I like it's maybe doesn't seem feasible, and I'm like actually really emotionally involved, if I just like listen and listen for the edges of my hearing, I'm like,
Yeah, immediately. Yeah, wow.
yeah, or like think towards the edge of your thought with your eyes closed. Boom.
Gah! That's crazy. Huh.
Yeah. Or like try and find the edges of your visual field.
Bro, I got so frustrated yesterday that it's so cool because meditation is a superpower. Like, I'm not to the point where I can be in the moment and go and then be done in like that split second. Like, I still get really fumes.
Yes.
But at least I can like recognize it as it's happening and stop the physical reaction in this world from occurring, such as yelling, hitting the table, or like physically getting frustrated.
Right.
And for instance, I recorded a podcast with Sterling last week or this week, and he was 25 minutes late, and I was sitting here just like thinking to myself, like 3 years ago, bro, I would be screaming and yelling at this motherfucker, and I would be so angry. I would probably be so mad that I didn't even want to do the podcast anymore. But I just sit there and I was like for like a few minutes, and I was just thinking about being mindful about how stupid this was, and that everything is just an appearance of consciousness, and combining that with loving what is, and like everything is happening exactly how it should be. And if you're trying to argue with reality, then you're arguing with God, and you can't really do that, and you're wrong. So it was just like this weird instance of recognizing a place that I used to be, feeling that same exact way, and then using a new tool and superpower to overcome it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tripped out when you like yeah, that was kind of how I felt like after this week, in I have, an hour and a half of running this morning ish to do retrospect on the week and just feel my body and get really into it, and my solving my massive math problem while I'm running, like part of that is really checking in with my body and saying, how are you feeling and what do you need and that kind of thing. And it was cool because, I feel like in the last week I've implemented just a whole toolbox of tools that I got in the last, I've been accruing them for a long time, but I really, got them to the point where I could, put them into place this last week, and after and just feeling into that, it was cool because it's all these practices that um, uh, aren't intuitive because of the environment we live in 2020, but like maybe they are to our natural state. But we have to go to other people and seek those answers to be reminded of them to be able to re-implement them. And like it's cool to do that and then see the results and then feel the downstream and how that changes the processes that were in place before, because like after going on a run today, I'm like, okay, like last month when I did my my long run, I was like, all right, I might not live. I like might die if I do this for another week. I feel miserable. My gut is out of balance. I'm in depression because my gut is sucking nutrients out and starving me of serotonin. Like, and today I went on my long run and I'm like, all right, cool. I got a little twinge in my knee. That's pretty normal. It's the first long run in a week. All right, we're good, feel good. And I was like, oh wait, what? Wait, feel good? This isn't how this is supposed to work. Like,
Right.
oh wow, I'm supposed to feel like I'm dying, and it was cool because like, and that was thought the whole time. I kept like my pace would speed up a little bit, and my heart would start beating, and I'd hear my pulse in my ear. There's something weird, like my ears clogged or something. I could hear my pulse in my ear today,
What? That's
but it was actually
strange.
kind of useful
Yeah.
because like I would get up to like 150, 155 beats per minute, and then I would go. I was like, oh shit.
How are you keeping pace in your heart rate? Do you have a smartwatch?
I have a OH1, a Polar OH1. It's
Does
an
it tell
optical
you?
heart
Does
rate
it have a
monitor.
screen on it?
No, but I just hear every mile. It tells me the Polar Beat app tells you your average heart rate for the last mile.
Okay, that's cool.
It gives you a readout. It says like mile one done, average pace, whatever for that mile. It doesn't give you an overall average. It says average pace for that mile, and it says average heart rate for that mile, and tells you what's up.
That's cool. I couldn't find a way to change the pacing on that app, so I don't think I'm gonna use it.
Yeah, I mean there's a plethora of apps like Garmin. Garmin has their own ecosystem as well
Yeah.
for apps. I mean, and they have a bunch of products as well with like watches and different things. So
I'm not very big into quantifying my workouts. Like I
that
don't.
was something that hit me. It really hit home today with me too. I saw this guy go past on a bike, and he had like the big old reflective glasses and like this shiny helmet and gloves and bracelets and armbands and stretch whatever that's tight compression gear on and wind gear on and like bike shorts and butt pad and like knee pads and like nice shoes and long socks and I was like, all right, you look like a sick robot, dude. I'm like, you're a badass, right? But I was like, and I like celebrated that guy. I said hello to him like several times. He was a cool dude. But it made me reflect on how I felt, because I'm out there with the bare minimum stuff on. I've got shorts, a heart rate monitor, and my phone on my back, and some water bottles. Um, and are you frozen?
Huh? I am frozen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just turn your video on and off.
It's doing a little loady load circle circle, which is weird because my computer is actually like plugged into the internet. Weird. Hey.
All right, see you.
Yeah. Okay. What's up?
Did you just switch back to the other one?
No, it loaded, blacked out, and then I turned it back on.
I think it switched back to your other camera. Did it?
Mm-mm.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, but what I was saying is that guy going past me on the bike, it was definitely like it just made me reflect like how do I feel about what I'm wearing and like my technology use and do I feel like I need more shiny things or not? And it was cool because I felt really good and honestly my feeling is that I want less and less and I was reflecting on how I was using my like self quantification and if it reflected that, if it is in alignment with how I want to be as far as like, as natural as possible and without denying any leverage points I could have with technology. So like it was cool because by wearing a lot of runners and athletes will wear like a watch, right, and have everything tracked on their wrist and watch it. Well, I've opted to go for like an aura for my daily. I use it primarily for sleep tracking and for tracking my caloric burn on a daily basis so I can, eat accordingly. But I don't have to do anything for that. I don't and engage with it in any way. It's very low impact. and then I use the polar heart rate monitor for running. And what that allows me to do is not have any screens. I don't have any screens. There's nothing I check constantly to for information. I have no readouts. So it's cool because 99% of my quantification is intuitive, right? But I also get to check against what the technology is telling me. So every mile, it'll tell me, hey, you've been in this zone. And I'm like, okay, cool. I roger that. I feel that. I felt okay. That's what that feels like. And it gives me like, but that's cool because it's training me to do it myself rather than training me to rely on it.
Right. Right. That makes sense. Yeah, I guess I'm doing the same exact fucking thing, just minus the heart rate. So I'm just tracking my pace. Just fucking. It's very interesting to be able to be on a run, have it tell you, and then adjust accordingly. Like, fuck, I need to go faster. Fuck, I need to go slower, or like, or you know, when it tells you you're going that fast, and you can directly correlate that to something or a sensation that you're having inside of your body. And it's like, oh, okay, I know that when I run a 7:52 mile, it feels like this, and when I run an 8:30 mile, it feels like this, and the 10-minute mile, it feels great. It feels awesome. It's fucking weird. The body is a very strange thing, and it kind of tells you exactly what's going on when it's going on.
Yeah, that reminds me. I'm reading this book next, or next. I read several simultaneously, but
Yeah, I'm reading like six
this,
books.
yeah, it's definitely cool. I don't. Did you hear it? I don't know. I've always like been interested in like speed reading and stuff, and I can do it. I don't usually do it because it's not super valuable to me, and it's like long division. It's but and I get more enjoyment from not doing it, and I think enjoyment's like a big part of reading for me. But
Yeah.
like there was some podcasts the other day, and the dude was like, how do you read more? How do you do it?" And he was just like, make reading like breathing. Put books everywhere in your house and read them at every opportunity you can. If it's 30 seconds or 20 seconds or a minute or 5 minutes or an hour, just pick one up and read it. And he was like, well, is it better to focus on one or to do many? And it's like, doesn't matter. Make it like breathing. Put them all around. If you have multiple copies of the same book, if you have different copies of multiple books, then just do it. It doesn't matter, and there's no reason that you can't have 15 different books at once. It's all about your engagement with any one book at that specific time you're engaging with it. So that was like I was like, aha, okay, cool, got it.
Yeah, I think it's really, really cool that your body or your brain can compartmentalize the different books. So, like, for instance, I'm reading this book, and I'm reading this book, and I'm reading this book, and I'm reading A Course in Miracles, and I've kind of dabbled in the other one, but each time that I pick up one of the new books, my mind instantaneously gets on track with whatever I had read previously within that book. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mix them up. It doesn't, it's not like, fuck, did I read that in this book or did I read that in this book? You read the book and you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly. You just pick up where you left off. That's
Yeah.
actually, I never really realized that until right now. That's cool.
It's like it's cool to think about it like that. It's like a microcosm of like the journey method, like a good way to think about it is like the memory technique, the journey method, which is, the easy way to explain it is that you take a route that you're commonly, that you have, that you walk or drive commonly. So like for me, it would be my running path, right? I run the same path every single time. I can close my eyes and tell you every single turn, every single step, every single thing along that path. And I didn't try and do that. It just happens normally because that's when you travel, a human brain is designed to track and remember the environment so that you know how to find your way home, or you're just intuitively built to do that. And so the journey method of memory takes that skill and builds, because of that journey, the loci is in your long-term memory. Well, then you just take things you want to remember in your short-term memory. So a book you're reading or something like that, or facts and figures or whatever. You can remember anything, and you just tie it to location. So you say, all right, turn one, mile marker, 0.25, 436 is, next to a tree. And so I think, uh, something, make some funny image of about the tree next to that mile marker, right? And tie that into mnemonically, meaning sounding like the thing I want to remember. So if I want to remember like I don't know, an apple, you can think about Newton sitting under the tree at 4 in the afternoon. And
Are you
that's,
talking about creating mind maps?
Well, it's called the journey method, but it's the same. That's what a mind map is kind of based off of.
I don't like
And
that shit. It
well,
confuses
no, no,
me.
no. But
I
what you're
hate.
saying about your reading is the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. This is both the path and the thing you're trying to remember. And so you're walking through this book,
Yeah,
and so it's creating an environment that you remember because you're journeying along it. And then you're remembering specific things, right? You don't remember every word in the book, but you remember concepts and facts and figures and stuff,
yeah, it makes
which is
sense.
tied to the journey.
Yes. Oh, that's really beautiful. I love your metaphor. That was amazing. Wow, you really pulled that one together. Yeah, I can understand. Okay, that's cool because I'm reading this book a second time because of how much value I pulled out of it the first time, and I think that I need to reiterate those different points and gain a further recognition of the things that I left behind in that roadmap. Because like this book is actually what inspired me to write my own book, and I think, dude, like it's so crazy. Like this guy, how many concepts of beauty and universal truths that he comes out of. Like for instance, um, he's talking about how like literally you are, if you realize you're just this moment, then you are infinite possibility. You, me, Obama, Oprah, and a homeless person, we're all the same. We're all just heart and lungs and infinite potential. The only thing that separates you from any human being is your belief in your past story. Other than that, we are all the same. When we stop using our limiting stories or barriers to the outside world and other people, we start to discover an entirely new type of collaboration with life that is effortless, inspired, and open ended.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah,
Dude.
I think I really like when people talk about stories, right? Like stories, stories you tell yourself, stories in your past, stories about things. That's a really good way to think about things for me because ultimately, if you've done any sort of meditative practice and you've arrived at maybe not an answer, but certainly a question as like, what am I? And that question to me reflects off of itself and turns into this expanse of feeling or experience. And so if I know what that is, if I've experienced that, and then I try and engage in something and find it difficult, then it must be something at a higher level or like a lower level, like a less real level that is preventing or making that thing difficult, which could only be some sort of construct, some sort of story, something made up, right? Because if everything that isn't what I experienced as my foundation, which is this expanse of whatever, it's that question, right? Who knows if it's an answer, but if it's not that, then it must be some story, right? It must be its story. So it's an
Yeah.
interesting thing where like if I can return back to the question, and then see what arises out of that, there's going to be reactions and other things, but if we pose questions to that expanse, generally speaking, the correct direction is pretty clear, and I think that's a lot about what like the finding directions towards changing stories is for me is like taking talking like Paul Chek likes to talk about it, like talking to your soul, asking your soul, having a conversation with your soul. I think one of the best ones he did was with like Aubrey Marcus, and because Aubrey Marcus is kind of funny. This was like a couple of years ago. He had one with him where he was talking about talking to your soul, and Aubrey Marcus was laughing because I like the way that they put it. I can't remember which of them it was, but they were like, if you ask your soul a question, if you close your eyes and really get still and get quiet and reflect on consciousness and ask your soul a question, you're the answer is going to be true, and you know it's your soul because you'll laugh, um, because your soul
Yeah.
doesn't fuck around and it resonates.
Hmm.
Um, and it's interesting, laugh is like a genuine response to the all clear sign. The laughter in the human organism comes from the monkey brain response of signaling that there is no snake out to eat the other monkeys. And so when you talk to your soul, and you laugh, it's like a cool thing to me to think about the grand picture there, right? That our meat suits interacting with this like ephemeral question of ground of existence that we are, and we signal the all clear of danger because we've discovered there's no ego there, right? The snake is just chilling somewhere else.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's such a valuable tool to be able to like speak to your soul and recognize where your thought, feeling, or action or desire is coming from. Like I actually again learned that from this fucking book, bro. Like in it he's talking about, I can't remember the exact words that he uses to describe it because I'm not there for the second time and I forgot, but he basically describes using like a meter within, like Willy Wonka, bad egg, when she got on the
Okay.
scale and it was dong dong. Yeah, so you can do that with every single thought that you have. And he's actually taught me to, like, you close your eyes and you ask yourself the thought and you can tell where the answer is coming from. Is it coming from your diaphragm or is it coming from your fucking forehead? If it's coming from your forehead, you're incorrect and you need to re-ask. If it's coming from your diaphragm, then that's correct. That's where your soul is pushing you and that's what you need to listen to. So
Yeah.
interesting. And like I've
It's
been
just
put
cool because like there's like a bunch of aspects that I don't know if he gets into that, but like the serotonergic system and the microbiome that's like our collective environment that we think we're these things, right? And parts of us there is that eternal ground of question that we are, right? But the this meat suit is we're like a walking forest, you know, like the
yeah, yeah,
densest
yeah.
part of the rainforest, and
Yeah.
like when you say things like it's a gut decision or like listen to your gut or if the decision's coming from your diaphragm, you're like legit talking about like listening to the frogs that live by the river because they're in tune with the way the river works. Like it's like we're legit talking about a collective, of organisms and and it's like even more tripped out than that because like, frogs live in a rainforest and they partake in the circle of life, of birth and death and feeding and pooping and all of that stuff and then it's connected down to the other organisms and then that gets really tripped out because like then you get into mushrooms and the mycelial networks and all these things that connect the trees and stuff and then
Oh my
you
god.
look at where those things come from and the fields that we don't know what they are that cause these things to come into existence, the collective vibrations from trees 5 feet apart that caused a spontaneous eruption of a mycelial mat that connects them, or mycorrhizal mat that connects them, and so that they can communicate and send signals and share nutrients and provide protection, right? And that informs the frogs all the way up, and then
Fuck.
like,
Yeah.
and then like, and
Which
it's like,
which what you're talking about is our gut microbiome specifically, which I don't think a lot of people understand that concept of the analogy that you're making. Because like
well,
I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was like, blah 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 blah, all these different things wrong, and I'm like, it's literally all in your gut microbiome, and it's because of what you're eating.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the gut microbiome stripped out. It's now. I think we're at a point now where apparently, I've been learning that in the last 5 years we've really, like Zach Bush talks about this, in a lot of his recent podcasts, that like we now know, or it's becoming clear that every single tissue in the body has its own microbiome and it's all interconnected and
Yeah.
there's nothing that isn't a microbiome thing host. Every part of us is. We used to say that the guts are like the soil of like for the tree of our organism, but it's now apparent that we are soil. We're just this ever new evergreen cycle thing. And then like there's some maybe like, it's very very crazy like, but yeah, the microbiome, is in the brain, it's in the body, and microbiome is bacteria. It can be, you can put viruses in this group, you can put fungus, you can put mushrooms, mycelium, all sorts of stuff, yeast, a type of fungus, but like, all of that stuff, it's everywhere. It's in your brain, it's in your blood, it's in
Which
your
is why you don't want to
um,
wash your hands.
skin. I
I
think,
never wash my hands, bro. Like never.
I wash my hands, but I just let my dog put her tongue in my mouth pretty frequently, so I figure it balances out.
I cannot stand that shit, bro.
It's not my favorite. I don't enjoy it too much, but I know that I'm benefiting.
I would rather just fucking not wash my hands, bro.
Yeah,
Like even when I touch raw meat and stuff, like I just like I'll wash it off with the water, and
yeah,
maybe a paper towel, but I don't use fucking soap ever
yeah, yeah, yeah.
unless my hands
I
smell bad.
I usually use like a natural soap. Typically, I'll use like a bar of soap that doesn't have any chemicals in it. It's just like beeswax and maybe some other stuff, but like
Mm-hmm.
very chill. Just to get because I don't necessarily I touch electronics all day every day, and they have to stay clean. And if I have fat on my hands, it's very difficult. And everything I eat has fat in it, and it sticks to my hands, so I have to get it off of me.
See, I just
Um,
do this.
yeah, but you probably haven't cleaned your laptop in like a year.
I actually cleaned it the other day for the first time in 5 years.
Yeah, there you go. See, I clean every electronic I use like 3 times a day, because I love them, and I want them to know it. Um,
Interesting.
but
Well,
um,
hmm.
but like I think there's definitely a balance. I think that like I don't wash my vegetables typically. If I'm eating organic vegetables and I see dirt on there, that means I've lucked out. Like I'm super stoked there's dirt on there because that humus that's the thing that gives life, man. That's got soil bacteria in it. There's a product called Home Biotic by Dave Asprey makes it, the guy who runs Bulletproof, but it's called Home Biotic, and it's basically just soil bacteria in a solution that you can spray in your house. And the cool thing about soil bacteria is they eat um, like infectious mold, like black mold and bad strains of mold that are parasitic in a bad way, that are not symbiotic. They eat them. And
What?
so,
So you just spray that shit
yeah,
all over your house? Do you cure it with
yeah,
mold? Did you do
yeah,
that?
yeah.
I need to
Um,
do that.
this house
How
is
much
kind of
does it
doomed.
cost?
We're gonna move, but well, it's relatively expensive. It's like $30 for a bottle, I think. But
That's not that
it's
bad.
not like it's not the benefits far outweigh it, and it's not like something you have to purchase on a regular basis. Like you
Yeah,
purchase it
30
a
bucks is
couple
cheap as
times a
shit.
year. Yeah, you purchase it a couple times a year. You do like a 1 week inoculation for maybe 2 times a day sprays. And then you just and it doesn't have to be everywhere. Like you just spray it in like damp areas, and then you just follow up like once every 2 weeks or something. You do a little inoculation, and then you're good.
Hmm. Will you send me a
But
link to
yeah,
that?
but my point there was that like soil bacteria are some of the most beneficial things ever. Like the reason farmers are so healthy is because they put their hands in the ground. I mean, there's a bunch of reasons, right? But I think one of the primary reasons is that the earth and us, like that, like I was talking about, like the animals in the jungle that are part of like the web of life, connected by mushrooms and connected by energetic fields, are we're a part of that too. Not like it's analogous to what's happening inside of us, but it's also we're a part of it, or on a high level, beside that micro level. And so, like when we're disconnected all the time, that's why we do. That's what biohacking is, right? Biohacking is a silly word that we had to invent because we forgot that we were earth animals. And there's very few biohacks that involve technology that are anything other than doing things that happen if you go camping for a week. And
Yeah, that makes
so
sense. It's all about grounding yourself and returning back to ancestral health using technology.
yeah, and so yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like the soil bacteria, though, they do so many good things because they're a symbiote with the huge network that communicates collaboratively, which is everything, right? But like it's specifically the soil, right? That's the information carrying substrate of the mycelial networks that communicate between trees to transport nutrients, right? And so think about these soil bacteria, their job is one of the byproducts, one of their functions in this beautiful picture of a painting of nature is to guard against things like black mold, and that's what they do. And so like there's a bunch of other stuff too, right? They play a big role in digestive stuff. They're wonderful to have colonize you, because they serve a big role in digestion and cutting down on other harmful bacteria that could, in higher concentrations, cause gut dysbiosis or SIBO or something like that. And so you take home biotics is a good example, but there's also other stuff like that. The product with from Zach Bush, he has man, I forgot what it's called. It's like triome, something. But he makes a product that it's like legit soil bacteria. It's humus, with the minerals that come in there, what are the biggest things we have problems with? It's processed food and lack of nutrients, right? Lack of nutrient dense food, disconnection from nature. And so like it's legit like electrolytes, basically like soil nutrients and the soil bacteria. And you take that and it's like there's similar things like fulvic minerals, right? Like On It has a good fulvic minerals product
Hmm.
that's got some cool flavors to it and
Is that
stuff.
kind
And
of why we take Himalayan pink salt to be a cheap version of that?
I mean, it's certainly a component. There's definitely like other things like enzymes and specific strains of little critters and stuff that are in those different compounds that have different effects. But like electrolytes are crucial, right? I think that probably a good way to think about it is that like way back when in the dawn of time, like people probably like woke up in the morning and went and their bodies would tell them if they were deficient, and they would probably go drink some brackish water, that was like super heavy metals, super heavy in metals, not heavy metals, but super heavy in trace minerals and metals, and maybe it was stagnant and had super high concentrations, and it was not diluted. And you take a sip of brackish water, and then go drink some normal water, and you've now replaced your electrolytes for the month, or not electrolytes, but all of your trace minerals and all that stuff, all the stuff you it's harder to get from food, calcium, all those things. And so like I wake up, drink 24, 30, 32 ounces of water with a big old teaspoon, tablespoon of salt in it. And
You do like up to a tablespoon? Like
I
super, super
mean,
salty water?
sometimes like
I just wondering like what the proper is because I usually just take my pink Himalayan salt and just go real quick.
yeah, I mean, I usually I like to coat the bottom of the glass.
Okay, that's
I don't
cool.
know. I like it to be salty. It doesn't taste salty to me anymore. So
Yeah, mine was
all my
super
water
salty
has
this morning.
I put salt in all my water. You have to think about it because like an interesting thing is we think, like what's the healthiest, most nutrient dense, vitamin rich food on the planet? It's probably like, beef, right? Like red raw beef. But like readily available, right? There's obviously superfoods and different things, but like but that's if it was a natural cow on a field, living a happy life,
Mm-hmm.
eating bugs, dancing like cows do. They're all like, and like, that cow would be the healthiest thing. I don't know if those cows exist, right? Those cows are I don't know if we have them anymore. It's just the way that we've all cows are domesticated. There's no wild cows. Maybe there's a couple, I don't know, but like there's probably not many that you can buy their meat, right?
Right.
A wild cow meat, and we've never heard of some wild cow meat. And so I'm not going to get the thing you miss out on is number one, we cook our food to death, right? So that takes out the white juice you see coming out of your meat. That's all the electrolytes coming out. That's potassium, that's your magnesium, that's everything coming out. Now with ground beef, it's a couple of different things, and you maybe don't want to drink that. But if you're cooking a steak or something, that juice that you have left is gold. That is legit the probably the most valuable part of that meat,
I pour it
because
on top of
it's
my meat and eat it with it.
yeah.
Like the
Drink
stuff you're
it,
talking
put it
about, the
on your
stuff that's
meat.
left over in the pan, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
good stuff.
I pour it on my
And
meat
that,
and eat it.
and that's another reason to be careful with temperature, right? Because like those things are pretty hardy, but depending on how you burn the fat that they're sitting in, can change the value of them to your body. So that's something to consider. But yeah,
So
that's
what do you mean, cook it low and slow?
yeah, everything's better low and slow. Obviously, we live hectic lives. We're engaged in these technological leverage practices we call biohacking and stuff. So it's not always possible, nor is it like, what did the health nut say the other day in his little seminar? He was like, do it, but don't be neurotic. Uh, do as much as you possibly can without going neurotic. Um,
Yes.
you know, I think that's very important too. It's very easy to sit there with a meat thermometer and stress out about your food while you're cooking it, and then you've counteracted the any benefit you're going to get with that food by the amount of cortisol you just produce by cooking it.
Yes.
Uh,
Why? So why do I eat collagen with my meat again? I don't remember. I just do
oh
it because you
boy,
said so.
glycine and methionine are two amino acids that are out of balance in red meat, specifically muscle meat. And so when you add the collagen back in, it brings those back in balance because there's a higher concentration of one of the two. I don't know. I think methionine is the one that's in higher concentrations in collagen, but you're balancing that out to glycine because of some of the, if you have an over concentration of glycine without the methionine amino acid to balance it out, there's some not desirable effects it has in your body. Um, and
Ooh,
if your primary fuel source is red meat, you just want to have that optimized because red meat, it does some interesting things, right? And higher protein does some interesting things as far as like stimulating the growth factors and the genetic pathways that cause growth in your body. And you just want to make sure that's all functioning smoothly.
interesting. Is it like, so say I'm about to have red meat for dinner. Should I eat the collagen before, with, or after? It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, it kind of depends on how you like stuff to taste. Personally, I love the taste and texture that collagen gives things. It's very subtle, so like a lot of people will taste it and think it's tasteless, but it's not. It's got a bone taste. It tastes like a bone, and it's wonderful. I love it. So I'll put it. I sprinkle on top as soon as when I'm letting my meat rest after I cook it. I'll throw it on top, and it kind of absorbs down into it, and it makes this nice little like pate, like crispy layer on top, sort of,
Hmm.
and it gives it actually a cool little texture too. Um, that's what
I
I
didn't
do.
like
I'll
that.
mix.
I tried that. So
Yeah.
but for purposes of the like biological effects of like the balancing effects that you're trying to achieve from it, it doesn't matter.
I mean, protein digestion is about 10 grams an hour.
So I mean, like as long as it's within the same hour that you're eating the steak, you're good.
Yeah, I
Like for
mean,
instance, you're going to get the same effect sprinkling on top of your steak and eating it as me. For example, I pour it into a glass, like a small glass of water, and chug that shit before I eat.
yeah, it doesn't really matter. No, I mean, when you're thinking about stuff like that, the biggest thing I like to think about is obviously the results, right? But it's also a system, right? You have to think about the system you're building and what we're simulating, right? Like what's the reason we're doing this, and why is it not happening? Why do I have to hack it, right? And how do I most accurately simulate the system that I'm hacking, right? What used to happen that I'm pretending to try and get back to, right? And so, like, how did this used to happen? Well, you used to just go off of like a haunch,
Yeah,
or something. And so, like, think about it. Like, does it matter what order it goes in your mouth? Like, not
no,
really.
not
No.
really.
There's probably some like lipid interaction with the epidermis, right? The skin that's cooked on the meat that's got the collagen in it that's wrapping the muscle meat. That probably had some interesting stuff. So making sure that your meat is high enough fat content is important. But I mean, it doesn't really matter.
It's so interesting how fat on non-organic beef is fucking disgusting, but then when you eat it on organic meat, it's just like the most delicious part of the animal.
Yeah, fat's good. It's good
That's
stuff.
that's fucking crazy, bro. And so I think I'm more of in a like a high protein diet than I am a keto diet, honestly. Like if I'm eating 9 grams of protein per scoop of collagen with my steak, the amount like my it's not my ratios aren't even at 50-50. It's like 75%, 80% protein.
You wouldn't be able to function honestly. So like it may seem like that, but fat's so dense. You have to keep in mind that like a gram of protein is 4 calories, and a gram of fat is 9 calories. So you can have physically much less fat, and it can still be way more percentage wise.
Interesting. It's so weird taking care of the body, bro. I'm so glad that you got into this. Like what made you because you what made you start eating differently? Because I know you were trying to do the Jainism spiritual thing, but what made you eat differently?
Well, I mean, that was it. But I mean, the thought process behind the whole entire thing, the genesis of it was I have to do absolutely everything differently in my entire life, and what's the biggest thing that I can do? Um,
And your
what
thought process concluded the way that you nourish your body, and so you're like, "Fuck, I need to become a vegan."
It didn't have anything to do with vegan. I mean, it was nourishing. The thought was basically like, okay, if I become a Jain, right? If I abide by their precepts, well, what if that's the complete opposite of how I've been living my life, or it's not even an opposite, it's just not even in the same realm of there's no comparison. It would be a completely different thing, an
Hmm.
entirely new thing. Um, and part of being a Jain is is following ahimsa, which is nonviolence. Which by if you follow ahimsa, then you're a vegan or you're a vegetarian,
Yeah, I was having a
because
small argument with a vegan who got that from one of their yoga things, the nonviolence thing,
yeah. But I
yesterday.
mean, so that was my thought process, and then that was beautiful because not because I became a vegan. That's beautiful too, but that's not the reason that part was beautiful. It's beautiful because I did something different, something I never thought I could have done before. I completely changed my story, and I said, all right, I'm going to do this. Did I do great at it? Hell no. I
But
ate
so
pizza
that
the
was
next
so
day.
the reason that you became a vegan was to become a Jain, not to become healthy.
It wasn't correct. Correct. The ahimsa basically, at a very the the baby's understanding of ahimsa. Well, maybe a baby would understand it better. The initiate, right? The person who's just coming to Jainism. At least in my experience, when I was being initiating myself, whatever, into Jainism, my understanding was that, and there's been some famous quotes of pretty famous philosophers and stuff that were vegan or vegetarian, and it's like, if I can think at this level, then and I then how could my decision be anything other than to, even if it's bad for me nutritionally, to sacrifice a little bit of myself to save other feeling entities?
That's
Um,
a fucking thought.
yeah, it's like okay, maybe I won't be nutritionally sound. Maybe I'll lose a little bit. Maybe I'll lose a couple years of my life. Why? They'll lose their whole life. Why?
Yeah.
If I can think about that, then how can my decision be anything else than to save them, right? Is it worth it? Is it worth me taking a little hit to save, potentially thousands, millions of lives? Who knows how many animals I'll eat during my life?
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Now there's deeper parts of that, right? There's monks that eat meat, right? There's people that do different things. Now I've arrived at a place which I think is more in line with like the middle path, the Buddhist philosophy, um, eh, which I practice um, compassionate compassionate connection and consumption and engagement, right, with everything that I do. So if I'm eating meat, I'm connected with that meat and grateful for the process.
That's what
And
I
I know,
was, dude. I described that exact same thing to the vegan yesterday. I was like,
yeah,
yeah, I was like, the eating of the animal doesn't, to me, it doesn't represent a betrayal of the connection that we share. It represents the ultimate connection that we could possibly share.
yeah. I mean, to me, man, I don't know. It's such a big thought. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's what it is to me. Is consciously engaging with my environment, right? My spirituality is this beautiful, like, whatever you see kung fu movies and they're flowing and it's beautiful. Well, it's cool seeing it on a screen, but isn't it cooler to do it every time you breathe and speak and eat, like, and
Yeah.
that's my thought, is that, like, and that's what the middle path is. It's finding how to exist in this world, right? Because we're here for all intents and purposes. Like, I think there's a really deep place that we can get to, and this is the kind of like the non-duality level at which ceases to be division, and we feel the oneness, right? I think that's the base state, right? But we're here now, and I think that's really important, right? We wouldn't be here if it wasn't important. And so I think
Hmm.
that the way to be here with a purpose, to fulfill the purpose we're here for, is to figure out how to do the kung fu in every movement, in every practice that we have. Be practicing with everything. But yeah, yeah, yeah. The whole vegan thing is very interesting, and I think that for me, one of the biggest things was, there was a long journey to get here to where, I eat animals for almost definitely every meal. And so it's been a long journey, and it's been rough spiritually, emotionally, physically. It's also been the most beautiful journey, right? Because I'm more healthy now, and I'm more vibrant and alive and more connected with my environment and practicing, and more of my engagement than ever. So but is one of the big pieces for me, one of the most eye-opening things is learning about like biodynamic farming and learning about soil and learning about how ecosystems actually work, right? Veganism is bad for the earth,
Yes.
period.
Yes. Okay.
Um,
I'm actually gonna have to stop you there. I gotta cut this off because I have to get ready to go on my 15-mile run before it turns 115 degrees outside. But that was beautiful, man. That was cool. Like I thought like if we had backed up 30 seconds, that would have been like the perfect smooth exit. But you started unfolding a really big topic, and I have to stop
for sure.
you.
We'll just like anger the world with this one. We'll just end it on vegan is bad for the earth. All right,
Which
cool.
it's actually funny because I have my next guest is a vegan, who like I posted something about butter and ghee on my story yesterday, and she's like, sorry, I don't want to start an argument with you, but blah 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 blah, and she was so. I was like, oh boy, and I did all of the normal things of what about the bunnies and dying and all of this shit, and it was interesting, but the conclusion was that we have the fundamental disagreement that eating meat is immoral, and if we cannot agree on either side of that point, then every single argument that comes after that is irrelevant.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, which is that's the basic understanding, right? Which is it is the morality, right? Because like, yeah,
It's whatever your soul feels is right.
yeah,
Cool, man. Well, I fucking love you. I love you a lot. You're a really cool brother, and I appreciate you being on here again. Thank you so much, man.
love you, my dude.
110% undivided attention in everything that you do, all day, every day. Bird King out, baby. Let's go. Namaste, brother.
Woo!
Actually, you started
Namaste.
at the first one. I'm gonna do that every podcast now.
Oh, namaste, brother.
Namaste, man. I love you. You have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.
Love.
Peace.